Hi everybody, welcome to class. In this hour, we're going to be having a speaking class. We're going to be having a conversation, actually, and it's related to my last hour in which we talked about, we actually read an article about a bill that was going through some committees in the state of Kansas here in the United States. And what it was talking about was the idea of spanking, being allowed to spank students in schools, and the idea of corporal punishment. So I thought we would have a conversation about this idea. And in some speaking classes, I present questions and everybody can have a turn to answer. But in this class, I want to have more of an ongoing kind of conversation. So everybody will have a chance to talk and say what they think and give us some personal experiences maybe or ideas. Maybe you have read some other things. Maybe you can tell us about what happens in your country. But the idea is in schools, we have children, and sometimes some children don't always behave. That means they don't do things the way the adults, the teachers, the principals want them to do it. Like maybe they talk too loud, or they talk too much, or they don't turn in their homework. Some things like that. And so as adults, the teachers try to discipline them, basically tell them, number one, you can't do that. And number two, I want you to do it this other way. You try to get the student to behave in the way that you want them to behave. So the conversation is about this, and we were talking a little bit about it in the last class, and Dodi, who's from the Philippines, was telling us that, in fact, in the Philippines they have outlawed corporal punishment. So that means that now the teachers can no longer use that as a way to discipline. Okay? And Nurel, you were just telling us a little bit about your own experience in Morocco. And so before we start, let me just say hi, because Dodi and Nurel were in the last class. But Sarata, hi, how are you?
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good, fine.
Good. Sarata, there's a little bit of noise coming from your microphone. That's why I muted you.
Yeah,
So
I see that.
yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But if it gets too noisy, then maybe we'll ask you to mute it or
Okay.
something. Yeah.
I will know.
Okay, thanks. And Gaba, how are you?
Yeah, hello, I'm fine,
Hi.
thank you.
Gaba, where are you calling from?
I come from Romania.
Oh, nice. What part of Romania?
In the north. In the north.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
great. Has it been snowing there this month?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Actually, about 2 weeks I was to skiing.
Oh, nice. Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you do skiing or snowboarding?
Skiing.
Okay. Is skiing more popular than snowboarding?
I don't think so. I think that younger prefer snowboarding.
Okay.
But always have a conflict between skiers and snowboarders.
Yes, I ski, and sometimes when there's a lot of snowboarders coming down, I just pull over and stop and let them go down, because they're kind of crazy sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're like, woo! Yeah. Okay, and hi there, Gracia. Welcome back. So let me just welcome everybody, and let's just start our conversation. Nurel or Dodi, did you want to say anything more about what you were talking about regarding corporal punishment? Actually, Dodi, let me start with you, because you were asking me a very interesting question. and his question was, why did, like, asked me my opinion, like, why do I think that in Texas, which is a big state in the United States, why do they keep spanking? Why do they believe that it works, even though a lot of the research shows that it's not very good for children. It doesn't really help. And so why would people keep doing it? So, Dodie, did you have some ideas? Why do you think somebody would keep wanting to spank children, even if it shows that it's not very helpful? And in fact, it might have some bad side effects, like, like Narelle said, maybe the child will start to not like the parent or the teacher. The article talked about mistrust, how kids won't trust adults, or the idea that it's okay to hit somebody when you don't like what they're doing.
Uh,
What do
okay.
you think, Dodie? Why do you think people believe it's
I'm.
okay?
I think whose people uh, accept that practice
Yeah?
is first reason maybe they are not concerned about the children. If you hit the children, we know that
Mm-hmm.
children they have short resistance function of their mind, not like adult that they can think about what teacher doing. Maybe this is good for him. It's about
Yeah.
like concern way. But the
Yeah.
children they don't have ability to think what is meant by the punishment. So
Yeah.
it will be problem to the children if you are torturing or hurt them because children that they are sensitive. So
Yes.
I cannot think why people or like Texas teachers or institution why allowing the spanking hit the student, why they are not doing by diplomacy or moral counseling when
Mm-hmm.
children violate some uh, rule,
Yeah.
house rules, so they can explain it, but they can tell what's wrong, and they can tell them that if you're doing that one, it will be not good, or you can affect our community. Something like that. Need moral explanation.
Mm-hmm.
But really, what I'm saying, the previous class,
Yeah.
they are all they're showing that they're ignorant for as a human. If they turn the situation, if they are children, the children is a teacher hits them. So what they are think about that? What they are
Yeah.
feeling? They can
Yeah.
feel good. I think it's not acceptable to them. So
Yeah.
that's all my point of view.
Yeah, I think that, somebody, who doesn't have that same belief, it's hard to imagine that people these days still believe that it's good, even though, even from personal experience, like if a person was hit, I don't think there are too many people who would say, oh yeah, it was good for me, to do that, to get spanked. It helped me a lot. I mean, maybe some people believe that, and therefore when they're adults, they might believe that it works, the idea that it works. But here's an interesting cartoon. I just typed in corporal punishment in Google, and then I got the images. And so, there's always different things because this is a debate that has been going on for a long time. Of course, in the past, it was much more accepted and much more practiced, popular to do this. But this cartoon kind of tells you how many times do I have to remind you that violence is not the answer? And so maybe you can imagine this student is being hit because maybe they were fighting with another student. But the ironic part of it is that the adult teacher is being violent in trying to correct the violent behavior. So that's kind of a paradox.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
have
Gava?
a little bit a different opinion about that.
Good. Okay, good. Tell us.
I can say to you that my parents, my grandparents lived on communism, and
Yeah.
in communism was very hard. The teachers uh, loud to children or hit them,
Okay.
but okay, it's not good. I'm agree with you, but the children nowadays it's very it's have a bad behavior,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes the children have to, I don't know, it's not good to hit them, but to to
Something.
to loud a bit.
Yeah.
If you catch my idea.
Well, yeah, and let me help you so that you can explain it. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So you are saying, while you could say something like, on the one hand, it seems like we don't want to hit our children. We don't want teachers to hit our children, especially to really hurt them. Yet, on the other hand, what you're saying
Yeah.
is you notice that today, these days or nowadays, it
Yeah.
seems that many young people or young children are not behaving. Is that what you want to say? Or they're out of control? Or what do you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
say?
They
Okay.
they they. I said that they are out of control. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. And so, okay, so that's a situation. So do you have an idea what would be helpful to help those kids not be out of control so that they want to behave?
Yeah. I think they have to learn them.
Yeah.
Um. um, First time with speaking with ideas,
Yeah.
uh, we have to demonstrate them that they don't have good they don't make good things, but the second and the third time I think we have to allow them a bit. That's
Yeah.
my opinion. Maybe it's wrong, but my parents um, they said to me that that their parents
Yeah.
behave with they like that, and that's
Spanking.
okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I don't think I ever got spanked, but maybe my brother did because he was a little bit more out of control.
Yeah, the boys always
The
are bad.
boys. I don't know if it worked, in terms of maybe it stopped his behavior, but maybe I can also see that he doesn't trust, some people, and so it is interesting to consider what kind of adults you become if you've been hit. And it, of course, there's differences where you hit one time, where you hit every week, this type of thing. And everybody might be different. Some people might think, oh my God, I that was terrible. I'll never do that again. But then maybe some other kids might think, these guys are just mean. And so, like Narelle's saying, now this little boy, he's just going to do the same thing to somebody
Wow.
who's smaller than him, like his little brother or sister, or a stuffed animal.
Yeah,
you
I
know.
understand.
This is so funny with the hammer.
Yeah. Well, and it makes you, when I think about these situations, I always wonder, like, well, what kind of, how does it really affect adults? Because we see a lot of adults misbehaving, you know. And what does adult misbehaving look like? It looks like corruption, it looks like violence, it looks like, and it's not just, poor kids who grew up with, in a bad situation. It's very wealthy people and people who went to good schools and who are educated. There's different levels of criminal behavior that happen. And so, Narelle, tell us your story. I saw that you.
This is a real one. I mean,
Okay. Okay,
I,
tell it.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
Okay, there is a couple.
Yeah.
They are our friend, and you know what? One day, the mother starts to punish the older. She has two boys, and
Yeah.
one day she started to punish the older one. Maybe I don't know what he did.
Yeah.
So and the younger was there and looking at him while he was punished by his mother.
Yeah.
Then when she finished, the older brother took his younger brother, put him
Mm.
in this garbage bag, those black garbage bag.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, went to the dam and threw
Oh.
him there.
Oh my
They
gosh.
stayed.
Oh my
They
gosh.
stayed for maybe 4 or 5 hours,
Yeah.
just just uh, just looking for the younger brother.
Oh my gosh.
For the
Wow.
younger son, they called police, everything.
Mhm.
And then someone was walking by the dam and hear noise.
Wow.
Yeah, the little boy, somehow he he gets out of the bag,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, and he started to cry, but he couldn't get because the dam is very deep.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this stranger who was passing there by the dam heard the noise. Then he called the office. Then they came and they find him.
Wow.
When they told him why you did that to your
Yeah.
brother,
Yeah.
because your brother didn't do nothing to you, he said, well, he said to his mother, you are older than me, you did that to me, then I have to do it to someone who is younger
Uh-huh.
than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is real. When you spank them, then they are going to spank someone else younger
Yeah.
than them.
Yeah. Well, a word for that people use here would be powerlessness. So if you have a feeling of powerlessness because you got hit, and so that older person or that bigger person, that stronger person hit you, you feel powerless. You are powerless, and so sometimes to kind of get your power back, that's what some people do. And not just children. Some adults do that same thing. you know, like you think of, say, your boss. Your boss yells at you, and you feel powerless. And we know that sometimes that can affect your mood, and then maybe you go home and you yell at your partner or at your child, or you yell at the person at the restaurant who, made a mistake or something. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's not, I don't know if cycle is the right word, but there are effects, the effects of people hitting other people and showing power over, not just intellectual power, like you won an argument with your words, but actual physical power, because that brings in your kind of survival instincts. Do you want to be hurt? Are you going to fight for yourself? That kind of stuff. So, Graciela, do you have any things you want to say? What is it like in Brazil? Is it allowed to hit a student or spank a student?
Lisa,
Yeah.
uh, 10 years ago, I studied for me teacher, for teacher child.
Okay.
I see big problem now in Brazil because children, many children are unpolite.
Yes.
The teacher can't, the parents don't education the children in the home. and these children go to school and don't respect the teacher, the direction, the school, the
Mhm.
policy,
Yeah.
the everything in school. Now Brazil have a big problem for
Yeah.
education
Yeah.
because have the law in
Yeah.
Brazil. If the parents can't beverage, bever the children, and
They
they
they can't punish the children?
yes, a
Okay.
big problem because the children go assistant social
Yeah.
and talk. Ah, my father make it for me big problem, and these children go for the government. Government no education good for these children,
Mhm.
and now have a big problem because these children no polite
Yeah.
in future dangerous these
Yeah.
criminals use
Right.
many children now use drugs I have a problem in school in social you no security. Do you walk in
Mhm.
street? You no secure because you look at children, and these children, you know, this children is good for you or no,
Yeah.
dangerous or no. This is problem. I
Yeah.
think many problem now in
Yeah.
Brazil, in my country. Here in United States, I see different
Hmm.
because the children is more polite and respect the teacher. In Brazil, the government create many laws
Yeah.
so bad for family,
Hmm.
for the system in Brazil very bad.
So I'm curious about this because would you say that before
Hmm.
would you say that children were better? Like they were nicer or more polite or they behaved better, and did that make better adults?
Yeah, before yes, now no. Before now, the children no respect the teacher. Use arms in school. Court of the teacher. Teachers when the children know make is it a homework, and the teacher ask, "Do you make homework?" No. What's problem? Blah, blah, blah. No respect, and the teacher can't back home because it's dangerous. Need the policy for the teacher back home because the many children make a lot of problem.
Why do you think they're making the problems?
Problem for life because use knife, arms, sell drugs in school. Big problem.
What?
I think the government in Brazil use the money no, for World Cup, but no for education.
Mhm. Mhm. I'm just trying to understand because the way I see it is like if a child is acting out, like they're being disrespectful, there's already something going on because in my experience, a happy child who is well fed, gets enough sleep, has people who love them, you know, they're usually pretty mellow kids. They're not usually violent or,
Children in Brazil violent.
but why are they violent?
Yeah, and the parents sometimes the parents fall, oh, I can't help my children. Do help me because the government assistance social. I can't education my children because the government take my children. I don't have more my children.
Yeah,
I don't understand this problem now.
yeah,
When I study for teacher in Brazil, and
yeah,
I go my first day for classes, and
yeah,
the child say bad words for me. Oh,
yeah,
oh, I list bad words for and the classes have 40 children. 40 children in a classes. It's too much children
Yeah, for one teacher.
for one teacher, and they don't have a helper.
Yeah, that's a
You know,
lot of work.
I count 10 for
Yeah.
10 for no take children. They make a big problem for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said my teacher, I never teach her more.
Forget it. It's not worth it.
No, big problem, big
Yeah.
problem.
Okay. Sarata, do you want to say something about?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, it's a little bit scratchy.
I don't
Yeah.
know what happened. Maybe I need to change my.
I don't know. Maybe when you're moving it around, if you cannot touch the microphone, maybe.
I'm not.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Really, we can't hear you. Is it bad for you guys too? Can you guys hear all that noise?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Yes. Lots of noise.
How about now?
A little better.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Ouch.
That's my microphone. Hello?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Why is it doing that?
Yeah, I think I need to change. But I have a lot of. You okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. In my country,
Yeah.
people eat a lot, and I think that's it's a very difficult. It's a controversial situation because I think it depends on the degree of the punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Guinea, they hit a lot. I think it's very abuse. It's every day, every night, every time you hear a kid being hit, but they hit very hard and with the belt, you know.
Yeah.
It's or with the head, they hit the head. It's very how to say that aggressive method.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the solution because sometimes doing that a lot will cause bad effect on children.
Mm-hmm.
They will have you say they will behave as how you did.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was kid, I was my mom came to California to study English.
Yeah.
And I was in my aunt's house, and sometimes I was hidden, but not me too. Like all the kids, it was normal in Guinea at that time.
Yeah.
But like I even now I remember the situation and I feel a little bit sad. But you know,
Yeah.
it's like an example. Like when I make pee on bed,
Yeah.
I was afraid. I hide it, you know.
Yeah,
But you know, pee smile and they catch me, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's like that kind of stuff need to be need to be beaten, you know.
Yes.
But for now, I have three kids, three boys,
Yeah.
and I think they are very good. But sometimes they need to be very correct because no, like today, I was late to bring them to school. Because of the second one, my second child want to watch the TV
Yeah.
after his breakfast, and he was like, I say no, not TV. We are late. We have to go to school because the first one is in school now, and he has to be on time. The other one is in daycare. You know, you understand? So I he was like, okay. I said, put your jacket, put your the. He was not like lying on the bed, no, doing nothing, and I was very mad on him. And
Yeah.
my way to punish is like I take the ear, I
Yeah.
tie the ear, I say hey like that, but not very rude as in Guinea.
Yes.
And yeah, but I think some kids are very terrible. I watch I watch a lot that emission on TV, Super Nanny. I don't know if you know that.
Which one?
Super Nanny.
Oh, Super Nanny. Yeah, I heard of that.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it yet before.
it's very good. That it's terrible kid for parents, and some nanny can come to help them how to behave with kids. But sometimes it's work. You have to talk a lot with the kids, but not. It depends on the temper of the parents too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes they make you crazy. They make you very crazy.
Yes. Well, that's an interesting thing that you just mentioned, because in the article it talked that one of the professionals, the psychiatrist, he said that one of the problems with using spanking is that a lot of times a parent or a teacher might be doing it when they're very angry. So when you
Yeah.
have that emotion and you're feeling angry and you're going to hit somebody, that could be a lot more aggressive and a lot harder
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
if you could calm yourself and you understand the problem and then figure out a punishment or a consequence
Yeah.
or something that makes sense or that will work for what you want it to work for. But I think that's what is hard about
Yeah.
some of these things, because it brings up so much emotion. So like Graciela, what you're saying, when a child, a student, and you have the expectation that they should behave, they should be respectful, and they're not, then that brings up emotion in you. It makes
Anger.
you mad, like,
Yeah.
what is your problem? Like, you should be behaving. Why aren't you? And then it makes you have to deal with your own emotions. And how do people
Yeah.
do that? Sometimes they do it in a violent way. People, if you have a gun, some people
Right.
shoot people. Some people deal with their anger in different ways. And so there's so many different aspects to it, because if it were true that if you just give the kid a spank and then they never did anything again and it just really worked, I think people would just notice that it worked and do it. But I think people have noticed that it doesn't work. You might be hitting that same kid for many years, and they're still going to do what they're going to do, and then they might come back and hit you, So,
Yeah.
because those boys especially get big. They get big.
And another thing, I think it's if it's your own kid,
Yes.
you can control a little bit your emotion, because when you are hitting them, something will stop you to doing that, because it's your kid. But that's why I'm not okay to, like, in school somebody to hit my kids, because if it's somebody else, if it's not your own kid, you have not that you will not have that control.
Yes.
You understand? I don't agree with that. I can make some slap to my kids, but not to somebody else do it to mine.
I see. Yeah, so you want to have the right to discipline them. Maybe you hit them, but you don't want other people hitting your kids.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, Hamid.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. I have just come from the job. And what is the topic? Excuse me for late coming.
Yeah, well, we've been having a conversation about corporal punishment, especially in schools, and the idea that it's okay, maybe, or not okay, one or the other, to hit a child or student who is misbehaving. And one of the problems that people are dealing with in the class, like Graciela brought it up, and Sarato was talking about it, is it does seem like today, like in schools, there are a lot of students who misbehave and that do not have respect for the teachers. And what can we do? If you can't hit them, so that's not an option now in many countries. But what can you do to make it a safer place for teachers and for other students? So we don't have any answers, but we're just talking about these ideas. So I don't know, what is
Okay.
it like in Turkey? Are teachers able to punish students by hitting them or not? Do you know?
Yes, it was uh, it was okay before, but nowadays, unfortunately, no. And the children, Turkish children, are
Hmm.
like world standards. I mean, it is same for everyone.
Yeah.
And I know from my environment stories, if a teacher speak up, very speak up, or if he or she raises her or his voice tone, it is also forbidden for him or her.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and I know that the new rules are always for children, for students, not
Yeah.
for teachers.
Hmm.
And if and children or students use these rules uh, with bad affection, with bad intention,
Okay.
because
So
yes,
let me make sure I'm understanding you. Are you saying that the teachers can't hit, and this is causing some of the students to like be more disrespectful because they know that? Or
yes, yes,
okay,
yes, you are right.
okay, yeah. I think that's what
But in my
Graciela was saying too.
and but in my primary school time,
Yeah,
I remembered that our teacher hit hit with his with her stick for all
yeah,
class
yeah,
because we didn't do our homework.
yeah.
So
You cut out. Hamid? I don't know what happened. Narelle's having trouble too. Um, but somebody tell me, why do you think a student is misbehaving? Like, why do you think they're having problems?
Can
It's
I?
hello. Can I talk?
Yeah, why don't we have Dodi and then Sarata? You can answer.
Okay.
Yeah, Dodi, go ahead.
Okay, why the students they have misbehavior?
Yeah.
Because we don't know the real cause, but my observation, maybe the student they are not uh, their parents they are not giving them
Mm.
uh, like orientation how will be how you will be
Mhm.
uh, uh, polite in you when you are in the school.
Okay. So they're not
Then
explaining like the normal social rules, like
yes,
how to
yeah,
behave and
that's what I'm
why
saying.
to behave that way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
or the second one,
Yeah.
maybe the students are rude to their teacher because they don't like their teacher how their how way to teaching them.
Okay. Yeah.
And thirdly, maybe the student employ by other student to
Okay.
be rude.
Yeah.
So when the student take advantage or abusing the teacher because teacher cannot do anything or
Yeah.
reprimanded him by physical, there is a lot of way to control the student who take advantage or not respect their teacher, because the teacher has a right
Mm-hmm.
to discipline their teacher student by doing
Yeah.
like the teacher can make a recommendation to the principal or the administration to expel the student who are
Sure.
not who following the house rules, the school
Yeah.
rules.
Yeah.
So you speak bad words to the teacher is unacceptable action or
Mm-hmm.
doing. So no need to touch, no
Yes.
need to touch by physical way. And in fairness to the teacher, the institution, the school or the government have created a control system like administration system.
Uh-huh.
Once the student violate the rules, give warning, second, third, expelled it, and
Yeah.
she cannot come back or he or she cannot come back again to your institution.
Right.
So you already avoid the physical involvement, contact to the parents. You don't have problem to the
Whoops.
parents and the
Okay. Yeah.
others.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Sarata, did you want to say something? And then Gava, did you want
I
to have?
have a short opinion, a very short opinion.
Okay.
Okay, I think the problem of students is that they don't have the motivation of doing things right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I remind that my mother when I have young,
Yeah.
um, she motivating me when I had a very good note
Mm-hmm.
or I make homework very good. She
Yeah.
give me money.
Okay, so she
Buy me
rewarded
sweet.
you.
And I think these little things
Yeah.
encourage you like a human being,
Mm-hmm.
like a man, that you have to do things right.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. So again, basically back to the parents. Um, this is an interesting thing because what if the parent themselves don't know these things? you know?
I think the students have bad luck.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Sarata, do
That's
you
the
want to?
destiny.
Yes,
Okay. Destiny.
I think it's the parents' responsibility to know what their children, how their children behave in the society.
Yeah.
I think they have to follow kids at school at home,
Yeah.
and like as the other one says, motivate them with gifts, anything else to be more successful.
Mm-hmm.
And in like our society, it's very important to respect your teacher because it is the one who is giving you some knowledge that they put it on our mind as in my country
Yeah.
because it's how it works. It's like Islam, Muslim, like your Muslim teacher, you know. It
Yeah.
starts from the in Guinea. It's 80% Muslim because people are doing more Quranic schools. They
Yeah.
uh, they behave same way than school, you know.
Yeah.
But another thing is, schools have to have rules with kids how to manage that situation. I think you can warn them one, two, three, but expulsion is not the right way because some people, some child will be out of school because of their behavior, and they
Yeah.
will be very bad and have anger with the society, and
Yeah.
they will start like cheating, like how to say that? Yeah, cheating stuff
Yeah.
or using drugs. But
Yeah.
I think the school and parents have to talk, have to have a way to communicate.
Communicate. Yeah.
As now, like my child, they have a book, a calendar book. Every day I have to sign on it to tell them I have seen what he did at school.
Yeah.
I follow him when he arrive at home. I check what he did already and sign on it. If something happened, if your child is has good mood, bad mood, they will uh, put it on the calendar. Every
Yeah.
day they show you how your children was, how is the feeling of your children at school, if he is going bad or no.
Yeah.
That's good. I think it's children, school and parents have to communicate a lot to help them.
Right. Yeah. And luckily, when you have a group of children, it's only a few usually who are having trouble. The majority of the children are okay. They're fine. They're not having these problems. They're not misbehaving. They're not fighting with other students. So it is interesting that, sometimes uh, those kids who are having trouble, they take up a lot of energy. The teachers think a lot about them, the principals, their parents, and it's kind of, an interesting dynamic. But I always like to think about like what is the purpose, and it's just it. I always think like, well, you know, the role models that students or young people might have. A lot of people who are very wealthy and who control our government and are in positions of power, they're not the nicest people. They're not following the laws of their country.
That's true.
You
That's
know,
true.
they start wars and they kill people and they don't spend the money where it should be spent. They spend it on soccer games and stadiums and new clothes for themselves and cars. So it's, I think sometimes some of those students who are rebelling, they might know this, and that's frustrating because it's easy to be good and to behave well, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're a better person. So I don't know, because a lot of people are still dealing with a society that's very corrupt in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
Hamid,
that's true.
Hamid, is your microphone working now?
Yes, I think
Okay.
so.
Yeah, good. It is. So what do you think about that, Hamid? I mean, you're a very studious and good guy, and maybe you had some experiences with some other students who didn't, follow all the rules, and how does it turn out later in their life? Have you observed
I
anything like
guess
that?
everybody has one craziness, madness term for their student's
Yeah,
life.
yeah,
And for example,
yeah,
when I was in my 10th class, I lived my teenager term very well. I mean, I didn't go to lessons, not a public school, but
yeah,
I was going to extra course for my lessons.
yeah,
So, for example, I won't forget this. If the extra lessons were about for all lessons, and
yeah,
for example, the biology lesson, 10 lesson. for 1 year, for example, but
Okay.
I join only 2 or 3
Mm.
for that. But I how can I say, I didn't follow the rules like that. But of course, when I was in my public school, I tried to obey the rules because I am respectful and understanding student.
Yeah.
But this extra course didn't uh, weren't good for me. And
Yeah.
when I was looking my environment, for example, I saw many friends has their partners, and sometimes I was envy for them.
Mm.
So I wanted to leave my
Yeah.
teenage,
Yeah.
because when we are younger, we we affected for everything.
We
It can
we
be good,
yeah.
it, it can be good or bad samples.
Yes. We are influenced by many things.
Yes,
Yes.
like
Yes.
illnesses,
Uh-huh.
sicknesses.
And yeah, we're infected. Yes. Yes, that can be true. Yeah, and a lot of you don't know what a person is wanting. They might be in. I know, for example, I was a teacher, and I worked with a lot of students who were getting into gangs. You know, and these were students who were from other countries who came to the United States. So they were often very poor. Their parents maybe didn't speak English, and they lived in neighborhoods that were very rough. So lots of criminal activity. And, one reason to become a part of a gang was to have friends, have like people who care about you, and to be safe, to protect yourself and your neighborhood, maybe. So some of these things are meeting needs, and so then when you're in a gang, maybe you're not a very good student, maybe you don't listen to your teacher, but because you're focused on something else besides reading and writing and doing your homework, because your life is more immediately important than just going to school and learning. And as a child, a young person, even a teenager, you don't always see the future. You don't see how what you do now can affect your life later on. That's a part of being young. It's a part of developing your human
Yes,
brain. So,
and it is also coming from our life experiences.
yeah.
And sometimes we learn the lessons by living.
Sure. Yes. A lot of times, people, teachers, parents, they can talk and talk and talk and tell you everything, and you are only going to learn when you live the experience. Just the words don't necessarily teach,
Yes,
So,
in Turkish proverb we
yeah.
say one bad experience is better than 40 advices, 40 good advices.
Yes, yes, for learning. For
Yes.
learning. Yeah. Great. Okay, we only have a couple more minutes. Does anybody want to say anything else to add to the conversation? It's a very big topic, and I don't know if anybody has the number one answer, because what is the result that you want? Like, stop the behavior in the moment? Do you want, students who follow all directions all the time? Do you want adults who know how to behave and don't break the laws? Like, what is the result that you want, Don't you
In
think?
my opinion,
Yeah? Yeah?
everybody has to obey themselves rules. I mean, uh, parentship should be parentship, and
Yeah.
students should be students.
Okay.
Everybody should be conscious for their problems,
Yeah.
and they communicate easily and very basic levels. I
Okay.
mean, they should speak everything, because I believe that if we communicate uh, for uh, for all environments, we can finish our problems or we can reduce our problems.
Okay, so you're for what Dodi was saying, which is known as like diplomacy, being able to resolve your conflicts with communication,
Yes.
rather than violence or hitting or hurting people to get what you want. Yeah. Okay. Dodi, did you want to say anything else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think no, 100% not allowed the violence for
Mm-hmm.
in terms of discipline. Now
Yeah.
only for diplomacy and approach.
Yeah.
Still not there is no already delayed the violence. You cannot gain for violence way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Well, our time is up. We've spent the hour already, so I want to thank you for coming and joining in the conversation. It's to me, it's very interesting, and I don't know the answer, so
It's
yeah,
good. Very
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. It's interesting. Okay, great. Well, thank you guys, and have a good evening or have a good day.
Okay,
Bye.
Thank you,
thank you.
Lisa.
Take
I
care.
see you later.
Okay,
I
bye.
Okay.
learned more. I
Bye
learned a
guys.
lot.
Bye everyone.
Great, Dodi.
Okay,
Thanks for
thank you.
coming. Bye bye.
Bye.
But the idea is in schools, we have children, and sometimes some children don't always behave. That means they don't do things the way the adults, the teachers, the principals want them to do it. Like maybe they talk too loud, or they talk too much, or they don't turn in their homework. Some things like that. And so as adults, the teachers try to discipline them, basically tell them, number one, you can't do that. And number two, I want you to do it this other way. You try to get the student to behave in the way that you want them to behave. So the conversation is about this, and we were talking a little bit about it in the last class, and Dodi, who's from the Philippines, was telling us that, in fact, in the Philippines, they have outlawed corporal punishment. So that means that now the teachers can no longer use that as a way to discipline. Okay? And Nurel, you were just telling us a little bit about your own experience. Hi, everybody. Welcome to class. In this hour, we're going to be having a speaking class. We're going to be having a conversation, actually. And it's related to my last hour in which we talked about, we actually read an article about a bill that was going through some committees in the state of Kansas here in the United States. And what it was talking about was the idea of spanking, being allowed to spank students in schools, and the idea of corporal punishment. So I thought we would have a conversation about this idea. And in some speaking classes, I present questions and everybody can have a turn to answer. But in this class, I want to have more of an ongoing kind of conversation. So everybody will have a chance to talk and say what they think and give us some personal experiences maybe, or ideas. Maybe you have read some other things. Maybe you can tell us about what happens in your country.
I don't think so. I think that younger prefer snowboarding,
Okay.
but always have a conflict between skiers and snowboarders.
Yes, I ski, and sometimes when there's a lot of snowboarders
Excellent.
coming down, I just pull over and stop and let them go down because they're kind of crazy sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're like, woo! Yeah. Okay, and hi there, Gracia. Welcome back. So let me just welcome everybody, and let's just start our conversation. Narelle or Dodi, did you want to say anything more about what you were talking about? regarding corporal punishment. Actually, Dodi, let me start with you because you were asking me a very interesting question, and his question was, asked me my opinion, like why do I think that in Texas, which is a big state in the United States, why do they keep spanking? Why do they believe that it works, even though experience in Morocco, and so I just, before we start, let me just say hi because Dodi and Narelle were in the last class. But Sarata, hi, how are you?
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm good, fine.
Good. Sarata, there's a little bit of noise coming from your microphone. That's why I muted you.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I see that.
yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But if it gets too noisy, then maybe we'll ask you to mute it or
Okay,
something. Yeah.
I will move.
Okay. Thanks. And Gaba, how are you?
Yeah, hello. I'm fine,
Hi.
thank you.
Gaba, where are you calling from?
I come from Romania.
Oh, nice. What part of Romania?
In the north. In
In
the
the
north.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
exactly.
Has it been snowing there this month?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Actually, about 2 weeks, I was to skiing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Great. Cool. Do you do skiing or snowboarding?
Skiing. Skiing.
Okay. Is skiing more popular than snowboarding?
Um.
A lot of the research shows that it's not very good for children. It doesn't really help. And so why would people keep doing it? So Dodi, did you have some ideas? Why do you think somebody would keep wanting to spank children even if it shows that it's not very helpful? And in fact, it might have some bad side effects, like, like Narelle said, maybe the child will start to not like the parent or the teacher. The article talked about mistrust, how kids won't trust adults, or the idea that it's okay to hit somebody when you don't like what they're doing.
Uh,
What do
okay.
you think, Dodi? Why do you think people believe it's
I'm.
okay?
I think whose people uh, accept that practice
Yeah?
is first reason maybe they are not concerned about the children. If you hit the children, we
Mm-hmm.
we know the children they have short resistance function of their mind, not like